right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Claims of big gains in St. Louis. Did Cori Bush really bring back billions of dollars to our area? We break down the numbers.
Tonight, the coolest night of the week, then heat returns Wednesday. I'll tell you how long it's going to last.
A family wants answers more than a month after a deadly crash.
It's been 40 days. I just feel like let's speed this up.
The calls for justice from a grieving family. 27-year-old Carly Langley was on her way to work when she was killed in a car accident last month. Good evening. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, Langley's family is calling for justice. They say the driver responsible hasn't been charged and is still out on the streets. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski spoke with her family and friends tonight. Laura.
Carly Langley's loved ones are upset and frustrated tonight because it's been more than a month since the crash that took her life, and they still don't have any answers.
Katie Langley says her sister Carly was picked up by an acquaintance who was going to take her to work around 3 o'clock Thursday, May 2nd, but unfortunately, she never made it.
Never missed a day without at least calling and letting them know. It's not like her.
Hours later, they found out the worst news. Carly had been killed in a car crash in Swansea. Her child's father, Mark Benedict, rushed to the crash site.
And that's when I ran up, and I believe the chief, I can't remember his name, but the chief was there, and he came up and asked who I was asking for, and then sat me down and told me.
Family says police told them the driver was under the influence, speeding and driving recklessly when the crash happened. They believe Carly died on impact. The driver was also injured along with 2 other people.
I'm guessing he swerved around somebody, hit a car, rolled the car over, and then they hit a car basically head on with the roof. So it was about the worst possible thing that could ever happen in a car.
Langley says officials tell them it's up to the legal system now, but the last update she received was 2 weeks ago.
There's been no update, and it's been 40 days at this point, and we have no answers. And he's still free.
One of Carly's good friends, Taylor Pruitt, says she misses her every day.
We just did everything together. We lived life. I feel like I can't even believe how long I've known her and how many different stages of lives like we got to go through together and everything, and it just sucks like we didn't get to go through more, really.
Pruitt says she doesn't want to see this happen to anyone else.
We really want to see justice.
Carly leaves behind a 3-year-old son named Riot. Benedict says it's heartbreaking to see him still searching for his mom.
And I've already sat down and told him, that mom's not coming back, but I'll have to have that conversation a few more times.
And I reached out to the Swansea Police Department today and was told the chief and the detective in charge of this case were unavailable. Mike.
Laura, thanks. A grieving Metro East community is remembering a man who was killed on Friday. Alton police say 2 men were found dead in the front yard of a home on 19th Street, and the cause is under investigation. One of the victims was 68-year-old Roe Watts, someone beloved by the community. He worked at the J.C. Penney's in Alton, helping many pick out clothes. Police even told 5 on Your Side about Watts' knowledge of men's style. Police say this appears to be a domestic-related incident and say there is no threat of harm to the general public.
A man is in custody after police say he tried to kidnap a little boy in South St. Louis. Otis Woodard was arrested yesterday, blocks from the home of the 3-year-old he tried to take. 5 on Your Side obtained the surveillance video of Woodard approaching the home. When police arrested him, he had a steel wine opener in his possession. Woodard had his initial appearance in court today. He's in jail with no bond.
A promising update about a little boy who was shot at a North St. Louis gas station. The mom of 6-year-old Adrian Jones tells us he is out of the hospital. 3 weeks ago, Jones was at a gas station with his mom in the Baden neighborhood. That's when the little boy was caught in the crossfire of a deadly shooting. Adrian was shot in the stomach and taken to the hospital. After weeks of treatment, his mom says he is at home and recovering. Tonight, the University City Council voted in favor of renovating 2 of their older buildings. The police annex and the Trinity building closed in 2016 because of a potential health hazard. And since U City Police have been working out of a trailer, the new renovations would help house the police department and city courts. Tonight's resolution passed with 6 in favor, 1 against. The mayor was one of the 6 to vote in favor of renovation. Work will get to begin immediately, with completion expected by 2026.
A teen charged as an adult for causing a deadly crash was sentenced today. Haley Zink was under the influence while driving a car that crashed in Lincoln County in February of last year. 3 teens were killed in that crash. The victim's 20-year-old friend and Haley Zink were injured in the crash. Zink was charged as an adult last summer and has now been sentenced to 120 days. Robert Townsend spoke to the loved ones of the 2 teens who were in the car that day, and he's in the newsroom with their reactions.
Kelly, Haley Zink's 4-month sentence has devastated the crash victims' families. Now, just hours ago, I talked to the aunt of Caden Tyler, who was killed, and the grandmother, Trevor Bogert, who was critically injured. It was an emotional day for the families of 15-year-old Caden Tyler, 17-year-old Emily McNeese, and 18-year-old Will Flickinger. The 3 teenagers were killed in a car crash in Lincoln County in February 2023. Their 20-year-old buddy, Trevor Bogert, suffered multiple injuries when he was thrown from the back window.
Haley was driving. She jumped the hill.
A year and a half after the crash that killed her friends, Monday, Haley Zink stood before a St. Charles County judge to hear her sentence.
I don't want that to be a continuing effect for anybody.
Initially, Judge Michael James Fagris announced Zink could face 10 years for driving while intoxicated, resulting in 2 or more deaths, 7 years for DWI, and 7 years for 3 counts of manslaughter. But moments later,
Taking everything into consideration, I'm going to suspend the execution of sentence.
he sentenced Zink to 120 days in jail and 5 years probation.
Greatly disappointed and outraged.
The crash victims' furious families left the courtroom shocked and in tears. Jordan Reichert is Caden Tyler's aunt.
It's just unthinkable that they really think 120 days is going to teach her anything, because not even killing 3 people did.
120 days, that's 1 month for every one of those kids. But all of the families and the friends all got slapped in the face.
Debbie Bogart says her grandson, Trevor Bogart, underwent 11 surgeries as a result of his injuries. His left arm is paralyzed, and he's still struggling to walk as a result of the crash.
I'm just sorry that this happened. I wish it never did, but it
Trevor and Caden's loved ones tell me Haley Zink's apology only infuriated them and the other families. Zink is now 19 years old. If she violates the conditions of her probation, she will then serve her prison sentence.
It's been a little over a year since recreational marijuana was legalized. Medical marijuana has been legal longer, and pot sales have provided a big boost to the economy. Today we learned that marijuana sales have generated more than $370 million in tax revenue since October 2020. The growth is not expected to stop there. According to the Missouri Cannabis Trade Association, the statewide cannabis business is expected to generate about $238 million in 2024 alone.
Politicians often like to take credit for positive developments, especially when they're running for re-election. But how much credit do they really deserve?
Sometimes politicians will even take credit for work someone else did. That's why our political editor, Mark Maxwell, is here to verify a staggering claim.
Congresswoman Cori Bush is making some bold claims in her bid for a 3rd term in Congress. Maybe you've seen the billboards. $2 billion she claims she's brought back to St. Louis. An enormous amount if it's true. Most congressional leaders claim a lot lower number. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, the top Democrat in Congress, only boasts bringing $21.9 million back to his district in 1 year. So did Congresswoman Cori Bush really outperform him by 100-fold? Let's verify. Our sources: congressional voting and spending records, the U.S. Census Bureau, and the Internal Revenue Service. In December 2022, Congresswoman Cori Bush's office said she secured over $18 million in community project funding, commonly known as earmarks. Then, in November 2023, she reported delivering $27.4 million. This March, she said she secured $13.7 million, and later in March, she added it all up to more than $41 million in direct funding. She repeated that total again in early May. Then, something changed. Suddenly, this eye-popping claim started showing up on billboards, campaign signs, and Facebook ads. Some paid for by her campaign, others paid for with your tax dollars. So we asked her to show us the numbers. Here's a breakdown of what they sent us. That $41 million in community project funding, that much we can verify. Plus $1.1 billion in American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA funds, another $770 million in federal grant funds, $126 million in HUD or FEMA disaster relief, and $33.4 million in Department of Transportation funds. So let's start there. Yes, she did support those specific projects back in 2021, but those raised grants are now funded in the bipartisan infrastructure bill. She voted against it. Under the ARPA funds, Bush's office counted a round number, $197 million under the child tax credit. Data from the IRS showed that number was actually $155.6 million. Under HUD and FEMA funding, Bush's office listed $27.6 million for the Bi-State Development Agency, but the error is right there in the name. Those funds are shared between the Bi-State, Missouri, and Illinois, not just for her district, so that total is misleading. She's also claiming credit for delivering $82 million in federal disaster relief, which of course requires first a disaster and then a presidential declaration. Yes, members of Congress can support those things, but they can't take credit for the disaster or the presidential declaration, making this claim misleading. Outside of that $41 million in community grant funding or traditional earmarks, every other category was raising big questions or showed glaring errors. So we decided to dig into that $770 million in federal grant funds she was claiming credit for. And at first, we couldn't find any records or votes that would lead to any of it. And they wouldn't hand the records over. So eventually, they agreed to meet us here, where we could review their records, they could show us the math, and we dug into each grant line by line. At first glance, inside her office, we counted 9 line items in those federal grants that were duplicated, counted twice. We deleted those and took notes detailing the rest. Later, we reconstructed that list and found it added up to be much smaller, $411 million in grants to various groups like WashU or SLU, sometimes federal housing projects, and an even smaller number actually spent in the district so far, just $208.7 million. Dig in even further, and we found some of those grants existed back in 1994 or 2001 or 2002, obviously years before Bush would ever arrive in Congress. Her office now concedes she may have voted to continue some of those funds or may not have voted for them at all. Bush's office has known for weeks we were looking into these numbers, and Monday afternoon, a revision. They told us they'd found more money, enough to make that $2 billion number whole, but not soon enough for us to verify. They claim they'll hand those figures over in a spreadsheet and a public website Tuesday. With your Verify, I'm Mark Maxwell.
What would you like us to verify as election season approaches? Just email verify@ksdk.com.
It was a terrifying moment.
How quick thinking saved a father and son in western Missouri. Strong winds and submitting claims. Consumer Reports breaks down the homeowner how-tos when weather wreaks havoc.
The coolest morning of the week is tomorrow, then pleasant Tuesday afternoon. Enjoy because the heat begins Wednesday and then stays with us for a while. I'll have the numbers.
Heavy rain caused chaos on the roads near the Ozarks last night. Flooding on Highway CC sent a car off a bridge and into a river near Fairgrove, Missouri. Jeremy Womack and his son were in the car as the car floated down the river. Eventually, they jumped out. Once fire crews arrived, they struggled to find the father and son until they started to hear what they say sounded like cries for help. The father and son described the harrowing experience.
Made the decision to have us both climb out the driver's side window while we were floating down the river and jump out of the vehicle.
We didn't really expect anyone most likely to hear us, but we couldn't obviously like swim out and get to shore, get help.
The Womacks say it was the quick thinking by first responders that saved them.
Before Mother Nature packs a punch on your home, know what to do after she leaves town. We're talking about understanding your homeowner's insurance policy before you need it.
Whether it's a storm, a flood, or a fire, Consumer Reports walks you through how to file a claim and get the most out of your insurance coverage.
Safety first. If your damage is catastrophic, start the claim process only when it's safe and okay for you to be there. Contact your insurer. As soon as possible, document everything. Take plenty of photos and videos. Make a list of what was damaged and needs repair. If you can't get to your property, ask your insurer how to proceed to get the process moving. And make sure you're there when the adjuster visits so you see what they see. Document all contacts with your insurer and keep detailed notes, everything from missed appointments to what you discussed, even if they were rude. Keep every receipt. A standard homeowner's policy reimburses for living expenses if you have to stay outside your home for a period of time. You want these receipts if there's a disagreement or you end up in court.
After talking to your insurer, do the stopgap work. That is, the repairs you need to do to make sure there isn't further damage. For example, having the plumber come to turn off the water.
A standard homeowner's insurance policy covers damage to the structure and personal property up to certain limits and minus your deductible. Replacement cost coverage pays to rebuild your home and replace stolen or damaged items at today's prices. Actual cash value coverage pays to rebuild your home and replace stolen or damaged items, but factors in depreciation.
If it's minor damage, like a few $1,000s, you might not want to file that claim because your insurer could come back and charge you more in premiums later. And if you file several claims within a short period of time, your insurer could dump you.
But there might be exceptions after some storms. Take water damage. Small spots on a wall or ceiling could indicate a bigger mess inside a wall or attic. Reporting on it now shows you've reported promptly. Finally, you might want to turn to someone called a public adjuster if it's a large claim like a total loss. They work on your behalf and represent you, but it will cost you. In some states, a public adjuster's fees are capped at 10 to 12% of the insurance payout. Other states have no percentage caps, and adjusters charge an hourly or flat fee.
Now, if you think the wording in your policy is misleading, have an attorney specializing in insurance law look it over. The Consumer Federation of America notes that courts have consistently favored policyholders on policy ambiguities. You can also file a complaint with your state's insurance department.
Meteorologist Jim Castillo's here with the Weather First forecast. Beautiful day today, but it's going to be heating up, right?
It is, Wednesday, but the humidity stays in check, but we'll be in the 90s by Wednesday, and it's going to stay with us for a long time. Some of the models say even past 13 days. And last summer, just to give you an idea, we only had one stretch. It was 8 days long of 90 or higher. So we're likely going to break at least last year's streak of 90-plus temperatures. Right now, looking down Market Street, and there's the arch. Beautiful night. Boy, it's nice and cool. High pressure settling in right from Canada. Watching a cold front to the north and west, but that high pressure is going to bring a beautiful night. We're at 72 in St. Louis right now, humidity at 44%, but even lows in the city about 56, and outside of St. Louis, lower 50s, maybe some upper 40s around Mount Vernon and Flora. All right, record high today, 100, nowhere near that. A pleasantly cool day for June 10th, 79, 60 for that overnight low. And here we go for Tuesday. That is tomorrow, a beautiful day. Clouds increasing a little bit. We'll still call it filtered sunshine. Some sunshine out there in 82, but here comes a cold front. And as it moves in our direction, maybe a shower or a storm as we get into late Thursday night, early Friday. But a limited chance on that. Just this huge area of high pressure building. And it looks like from Wednesday all the way through the weekend, high temperatures even by Sunday, well into the 90s. Some of the models take it into the upper 90s. We're still going for 96, but there it is for Wednesday, 91. Mostly sunny, a southwest wind at about 5 to 8 miles an hour. As we get into Thursday, 95 for that high, but humidity still stays in check. And notice the wind isn't really that strong at all. Southwest wind at about 6 to 11 miles an hour. And then there's that front, the chance of a shower or storm in here, especially late Thursday night, early Friday. We'll watch that to see if any of those storms are stronger. But there it is. A futurecast is showing a chance of rain in here, but then it gets out of here and we dry out again. 10-day forecast looks like this. Temperatures Saturday about 94, Sunday 96. Like I said, some of the models, even I saw one model at 100. So we'll watch that. Then by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, guys, more humid air arrives with mid-90s.
That sounds like St. Louis in the summertime.
Yeah.
Jim, thanks.
You bet.
Well, Frank is off tonight. Annie is here with sports.
Mike, the Battlehawks getting served their first loss at home at arguably the worst time last night, and the Cardinals flying high after a much-needed win against the Rockies. Find out who was firing red hot when we come back.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
I met some really cool people here, good coaches, good players, and relationships that'll last a lifetime. So, I mean, y'all can focus on me, but I'm focused on my teammates.
Last night was a crash to earth for Hakeem Butler and the Battlehawks. Their hopes of hosting the UFL title game were ruined by San Antonio. So now that their season is over, what comes next? For a guy like Butler, it's time to pursue a job in the NFL. The UFL's Offensive Player of the Year had a rough go against the Brahmas, and he wasn't able to get 2 feet inbounds on a couple of really crucial plays. He finished with 6 catches for just 59 yards. Still, he was told after the game by San Antonio coach Wade Phillips that he'll make calls to the National Football League on Butler's behalf. So will Battlehawks coach Anthony Beck a silver lining after such a disappointing game.
I'm always thinking highly of myself. I'm also a realist, you know, there's things to work on. But right now, I mean, we just lost. All I care about is my team, my teammates, you know.
There's a reason why they're not at the highest level yet. There's a reason why they're in our league, and there's a space for them in this league so we can help them grow. We can teach them the mental side of it. It's not just, you know, teach them football and go. You want to try to teach them more about the focus and the things that they do on a day-to-day basis so they can become better pros.
Meanwhile, it's a day off for the Cardinals. They'll be back at it tomorrow night, though when the Pirates are here, Redbirds hitters will get a good look at Pirates pitching phenomenon Paul Skeens, who brings 38 strikeouts and 3 wins in his first 5 big league starts. Meanwhile, for the Cardinals on the mound, Andre Palante helped lock in the win, striking out 6 with the Rockies during the 5 scoreless frames. The righty allowed only 3 hits. Palante was asked in the locker room after the game what he thinks about whether or not his fellow right-handed Redbird Miles McCullough has a future as a pitching coach as they get another tally in the W column.
I mean, he's got a future as a pitcher right now, so he called me out. He was like, my bullpen, I was throwing kind of like all my pitches, kind of not really had a plan on what I was working on, and he's like, that's not how you improve and work on what you're trying to work on. When you're working on something, you throw 15 of 20 of your pitches in a bullpen like that.
And how about the Chaminade kids? Matthew Tkachuk and Jason Tatum continue their pursuit of championships. Tatum has to wait until Wednesday night for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, while Tkachuk is playing tonight in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Tkachuk and the Panthers would extend their lead in the series tonight against the Oilers, already winning Saturday's game before, though. But Edmonton would draw blood first. This is going to be a huge goal by Matthias Ekholm, who finds the back of the net for the Oilers, but then it didn't take long for former Blues defenseman Nico McCullough, who answers with more than 10 minutes left in the second period. The Panther pulled away late in the game, winning 4-1, facing off again on Thursday. And big news tonight, UConn head coach Danny Hurley has said no to the LA Lakers and their head coaching vacancy. The potential deal would have been for 6 years and $70 million. So instead of looking toward Hollywood, he'll turn his sights on a 3rd straight NCAA title with the Huskies. Members of the 1983 national champion NC State Wolfpack, a big underdog who won on a last-second miracle shot right there, are now suing the NCAA for lost NIL money. Their main contention is that student-athletes' value to the NCAA do not end with graduation. The ask is for a jury trial and, quote, reasonable compensation, end quote. That's going to be a Pandora's box. That's a big decision to come out with.
Yeah, because a lot of other schools and athletes will be looking forward to that. No doubt about it. Thank you very much, Annie. Well, Millie the corpse flower is in bloom right now, but you'll have to wait your turn to see this stinky plant. How long until she's no longer blooming? Well, there is a large crowd at the Missouri Botanical Garden right now.
They're all in line for the chance to see and smell a unique plant, a corpse flower, blooming right now. These plants are known for their pungent odor during their brief blooms. This year's flower is named Millie. She's been at the garden since 2019, and we are taking a live look as she's drawing a crowd right now. A Mobot horticulturist says people just can't get enough of this phenomenon.
They really just like the kind of
to sum it all up, the weirdness of the plant. So we do have a lot of people that will come back year after year.
Yeah, and it's actually not too late to get in line. The garden is going to stay open until 12:30 a.m. and it's free tonight. And Millie's bloom won't last long. Corpse flowers only bloom for about 24 hours.
Did you see the line?
Wow.
Worth the wait?
I've not done it. I know.
We'll take a poll.
I know it's unique. It's just, why do I want to go smell
Our
rotting
producer
flesh?
Ashley is going after the show.
Can't wait to see
Yeah.
that.
All right, quick hit of weather before we go.
Well, the corpse flower is going to have a cool night tonight in the 50s, and then 82 tomorrow. So the entire time that she's, smelling,
Yes.
blooming, is going to be good.
Kelly said her roses are corpses right now.
They don't look good.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show is next.